But these are our oldest chickens. And then we have 3 guineas all right in a row there. That's a boy, that's Grumpy Gus. And then these 6 other ones. Trying to explain, hours worth of work in a 10-minute video is kind of hard. But as you can see, this is a chicken yard. Welcome everybody. Today I'm going to take the opportunity to make a longer video about this here chicken coop. We are in the middle of Indiana and we built this structure out of reclaimed oak boards and logs. We use a crazy roofing system, which I wouldn't advise. Just build it like you normally would a building. Our access to it's a little bit overgrown, but it's good enough for us to get to our eggs. We'll show you the chickens here in a minute. Oh, that's mostly a one-handed operation. We made ourselves a little ladder here and the birdies use that, but only 6 of the new birdies actually use it. And we'll talk about that in a second. And only 2 of our guineas and 2 of our chickens are laying eggs now. So we only get 4 a day, but you can see we do have some air gaps, but none of the gaps are actually big enough to let in any rodents or any other animal that would mess with any chickens. And this here's the strange way that we created this. Don't buy these. If you see these on Amazon, just don't buy them. But it is sturdy. We put this up here. I think we were thinking of, we were thinking of like hanging something from there, and we may end up doing that, but it's pretty sturdy, pretty strong. We do have power run in here with it's protected by a surge protector. We're actually thinking about getting some of those fire extinguisher balls that you can set in the corner, and whenever a flame touches it, it just explodes. I think we're going to invest in a couple of those before the winter hits, because we do have this poorly taken care of heater, which we need to do some cleaning up here, I realize. And then we have this anti-icer thing that we put in a big old bucket. But since spring hit, we kind of just, whatever. We got we got a lot of planting to do and all sorts of other things. So it's a bed of straw and hay. And like I said, there's only 6 little chickens that come in here, so we haven't needed to refresh any of that at all. Now let's move on to the birds we have. Now we have a total of 11 birds. And this here is one of our oldest ones. And you can take some grass. We throw handfuls of grass and stuff in here all the time, but this is one of its happy moments in the day. But we come in here once or twice a day. I usually wander around. We have a half-acre food forest back here, so I wander around a lot. And there's potting up of plants that needs to happen, and other gardening tasks that we have to do. But these are our oldest chickens. And then we have 3 guineas all right in a row there. That's a boy, that's Grumpy Gus. And then these 6 other ones, we got those at the beginning of the year, and they're still not laying. But the reason I think they actually all sleep in a coop is because when we got them, we kept them in this little smaller rural king coop. And then when they got basically too big for that and big enough to defend themselves, we put them in this larger run. So it's been about a month since we did that. But they are used to sleeping in a coop. And we don't actually use that door anymore because the run or the yard is actually secure. But these guinea birds taught these other birds how to sleep in trees. So before we put this netting up, they were actually all sleeping in this mulberry tree, which provides a lot of food. You can see some of it still on the netting. But they were actually going up there into these limbs and sleeping in there. And then they'd fly across the yard, and then I'd have to rustle them up and over there, or maybe over there, or maybe they just wake me up and they would just squawk throughout. So we're very happy that we got this anti-bird flying out and in netting up. So the yard itself, actually, we just brought in some more bales of straw, but all this netting or fencing is it's brought down so that there's an overlap on the outside. I think you can see where it's unpainted here. That's all unpainted fencing that goes over And then we put things like the, you know, the 3x4s, and we got stones, and we have plants, you know, planted throughout to try and keep things from burrowing in. And we have these T-posts to add tension, and we painted all this so that it doesn't, you can see through it more easily. And here's kind of a comparison between an unfinished or unpainted fencing protecting Asoki dogwood and our fencing. So quite the difference. And then the whole thing is anchored down by these 10-foot tall oak posts that we tried to put down at least 3 foot. And we use the dry concrete pour method. You can see this one was actually 2 holes. There's a video on it where it took me 3 different augers to like start making proper holes. But that's all encased in concrete. This one's about 4 foot down. And that kind of anchors everything else, and everything else is built on top of it. So as you can see here, the fencing is right at about 5 foot. It's 6 foot fencing. Then we have 7 foot tall, 6 foot tall T-posts. Yep. And then we have this, which we have a little hook there, and it kind of just adds some tension to this to raise the overall height of the netting. Because as you can see, when you come through, it kind of drops like this, which isn't too big of a deal. I don't spend too much time hanging out here in the chicken coop. I usually stand around over there, or I walk around outside and throw them snackies. But this whole, here's another one of those posts. We have 2 for the door, and then we built the door, and that's all like stapled to the chicken coop itself. So we have that's an old thing. We were trying to create barriers to stop the birds from going up, but that's old. Anyways, now we have the netting. But this is trying to explain, you know, hours worth of work in a 10-minute video is kind of hard. But as you can see, this is a chicken yard, and they're completely safe. Cross, you know, fingers crossed. We're able to plant things like goji berries, and I think it's either a cherry or a silky dogwood, and then there's another goji berry. We recently just put in additional T-posts onto this fencing because they were knocking this over and eating the goji berry leaves. Bad girls. So now they can't do that. So now they'll have a chance to really live. Isn't that right, little birdie? Yeah, I just brought in some more straw for them, so they're gonna mess around, tearing it up. We stack some and keep it wrapped so that they have a place to stand, and they got different areas to hang out in. It's quite a large area. We got a couple of different waters around, that big Lowe's buckets, their food. Like I said, we don't use that auto door. It wasn't too, I mean, it's not too hard to run a power cord out here. It's kind of a weird thing, but we haven't had the need to use it because, for one, half the birds don't even go into the coop, and we haven't had any predators actually come in. We've had a couple of birds that have made their way in through gaps like that, but there hasn't been a raccoon or anything that has like managed to get through a crack in the door. So we're feeling pretty secure, pretty positive that all these birdies are pretty safe here. So to round this video out, I just wanted to take you through a little bit of the forest itself, just to show you how much land we have. We are in the middle of a city, so it's just a ½ acre. And then you can see how this is centrally located. We got, parking for our vehicles back there. We've got pathways that wind through everywhere. And for the fencing on the outside, to keep it burrow proof, we have added, like I said, some stones. We've actually added some of this lamb's foot, lamb's ear, goat's feet, whatever you call it. I'll get you, here's a good shot of it. But we planted those all throughout, and we're hoping that those will expand so much that they'll actually mount the fencing into the ground, so that we can get rid of some of this stuff, so that we can mow it a little bit closer. Because depending on, and we have already had sunflowers as well. So I think this will be a really cool thing we're working on to get different plants coming up. Like if we could get some peas, well, try to save it from the chickens, but if we get peas to like start coming up, sunflowers start coming up, different things. That would be really awesome. So if you are interested in getting chickens, if you have this much space, this is definitely a way that you could do it. I think we've thought about just about everything that you could, as far as making it easy to get into, protection, lowering the cost. This didn't need to be built as expensive. Reused recycled oak boards is really not as cheap as we had hoped. Like we reused roll roofing and things like that. So these were 20 bucks a piece. These were $7 a piece, whatever it is. But this has really been this really is an incredible area. They get partial shade, partial sun. They get all sorts of mulberries that drop on their heads throughout the spring. And I think they really like it. We could get another 20 chickens probably, and they wouldn't even notice. They would just have more friends to chase around and balk at. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button, of course, and subscribe. We do a lot of shorts, and we try to do, at least in the summer, try to get 5 videos out a day, and at least a short or 2 a day. There's just so much to record. And it's, you know, it can be difficult while you're in the middle of a job, like potting up 40 currant bushes, to like pause and be like, okay, let's set up the stand and try and get some of this on film and all that. So we do what we can, because I think I'm making videos that I would have needed or would have wanted to watch when I started, because I would really like to know that using a Rural King as a temporary chicken coop while I got everything else sorted out, so I could get my chickens that I really wanted right now, then I could work on a more permanent thing. I would have liked to have known that, because I went through a couple of weird phases of additional fencing and stuff that really didn't work, and we lost some chickens because of it. So anyways, that's all I've got for today, and I hope everyone's enjoying their summer and getting a lot of gardening and eggs. So thank you again. All right, bye-bye.